These two new detachments are a little bit cracked, and they're going to make the meta very, very interesting. But there's a important caveat that everyone is not really considering. We're going to break that down. Guys, I am Doc Crump. I'm a top 100 player, and I'm a professional 40K coach. I am here to bring you all of my experience and knowledge to help you develop the problem-solving skills and the ability of critical thinking to make yourself the best possible Warhammer 40,000 player in the entire world. In my previous career as a chiropractic neurologist, I would utilize these skills of problem solving and critical thinking to really work through complicated patients with neurological deficiencies. And now I'm bringing that thought process to you. So let's break down these new detachments and how we can actually utilize them to become top notch at the game of Warhammer 40K. All right, so the first one is going to be the new Space Marines detachment. This is from the Siege of Deathmire event that was just going out with all of Games Workshop stuff. So these are both very, very cool. The first one is very specific to jump pack infantry in Space Marines. The detachment rule is going to be Imperator Unleashed. And a lot of people are, I don't think, quite grasping the implications of this right now. But in a turn that a friendly Adeptus Astartes fly infantry, which is specific, unit made ingress or charge move, that unit's attacks can re-roll hit rolls of 1. Now, there are some limitations here, but it's also incredibly powerful when we talk about the context of potentially the new Space Marines codex. It is limited to Adeptus Astartes flying infantry, and when we talk about shooting, that is basically exclusively going to be Inceptors, and it's going to be Suppressors. Suppressors might as well not exist until they get a new data sheet. Boom. New data sheet might make them really good. But Inceptors right now, currently in the game, is a very good choice. But why do they need reroll hit rolls of 1? I have Oath of Moment. Well, I'm glad you asked that, because due to picture leaks that we have seen from codexes, it's all but confirmed from GW's mouth that Space Marines will no longer have Oath of Moment in the new codex when it drops. Instead, they're going to have, it looks like combat doctrines will be the army rule. Now, like I said, that's not 100% confirmed. I don't have an NDA with GW. I don't have prior knowledge from them, but it looks from all the leaked pictures that that is directly from the codex. So I'm basically going to expect that's what's happening. So instead of having access to rerolls from an army rule, now we're going to have a different army rule. So getting just natively reroll hit rolls of 1 on your Inceptors dropping down is actually pretty cool. Pretty dang cool. This also opens up the ability to utilize said Inceptors in things like Black Templars, who already don't have Oath of Moment. So that is a very, very cool option for them. In addition to that, it applies when you charge. So if you have your Vanguard Veterans, your Jump Pack Assault Intercessors, if you're Blood Angels and you have your Sanguinary Guard, this will apply to all of them. This is a great one DP detachment. Man, I really hate how they've named the detachment thing. One detachment point detachment. This is a great thing to stack with a bunch of other detachments. It just right off the rip increases the damage output that some of the really, really devastating units are going to be able to put on the table. We also have two really, really interesting enhancements. The first of which is called the Avenging Angel. Now, this is for your flight infantry model. When this unit ends an ingress move, select up to one enemy unit within 9 inches of this, and that enemy unit must make a battle shock roll with -1 of the battle shock. Actually, very strong. Like, very, very strong. Because that will, battle shock, you don't automatically battle shock in your command phase. That can just turn an entire game. So you can battle shock someone when you ingress or when you rapid ingress, and your opponent suddenly can't score primary in their next turn. That's a very, very big deal. Or a reactive move or whatever. So I really like this enhancement. Is if it was playing a Blood Angels army, I would probably put this on a character who is leading, say, Sanguinary Guard, because you can uppy downy in that detachment, or even JPI, or even Vanguard Vets, whatever. I would definitely take it on a character, because you can uppy downy in the Angelic Host for Blood Angels, but you could utilize this in lots of other detachment combinations as well. The next enhancement is going to be the Orks Bane, and I've already had people ask this question, so let me just answer it. This works on armies that are not orcs. This works on anyone. The Orks Bane is just the name of the item of the enhancement. It doesn't have any effect on who it actually affects. But the Orks Bane weapon is really, really sick. It has the cleave to keyword, meaning for every 5 enemy models that it's going to be engaged with, the bearer will get an additional 2 attacks. So it is 4 attacks, hits on 2, strength 8, AP2, damage 3. This goes on a jump chaplain really, really well. This goes on a captain with jump pack really, really well. You can apply it to either one, and it is a monster to use. for me, I really like the idea of putting this on a Death Company captain. Because Death Company captains already get to natively reroll all hit rolls, and they give their Death Company units sustained hits. So suddenly you can be fishing for sustained hits with this and having cleave. It can become very, very, very interesting. Um, really, really quite a good, quite a good what do I call it? Enhancement. I like it a lot. Hits really, really hard. Okay, let's talk about some of these stratagems. These stratagems are all quite good, but they're not. I've heard people overreacting to them a little bit because I think a lot of people are still considering these through the context of 10th edition, not through the context of 11th edition. So, stratagem number 1, it's 1 CP Meteoric Onslaught. When in the fight phase, an Adeptus Astartes fly infantry unit that made a charge move. So you have to have charged this turn, and it only applies to infantry, jump pack infantry. You can get +1 strength. It's very niche. It's not a bad stratagem. You can stack this with having like a captain who leads the unit who's already giving the unit +1 strength to get a total of +2 strength. You can stack this with a chaplain's unit. They get +1 strength, and now they're +1 to wound. There are places where you might be able to utilize this. But it's not really something that you're going to be utilizing all that much, and you can only use it on jump pack infantry when they charge. Now, the next stratagem, I think, is way more powerful, but there's also a caveat to it. Purge the sectors. Purge by sectors. End of the fight phase, 1 friendly unengaged Adeptus Astartes fly infantry unit that was eligible to fight this phase. Your unit can make a normal move of up to D3 plus 3 inches. This is very, very powerful. Imagine if you have a unit of Death Company Marines with jetpacks led by a Death Company Marine or captain in jetpack. Gosh, you know what I'm saying. And you charge them out, and they murderize the unit they charge because that's what that unit does. Well, now you do a 3-inch consolidation on the objective to get basically wherever you want, but unfortunately you're still exposed, and you're just a Marine body. You're guaranteed to get obliterated next turn. But since you didn't use any strats in the fight phase, boom, I can give myself an extra D3 plus 3 inches. That can get you the ability to get completely behind a wall, start taking advantage of either line of sight blocking terrain or the gone to ground keyword, which will give you the -3 to your detective range, giving you an effective 12-inch rolling up to really, really protect yourself. This is a great stratagem. It's incredibly powerful. It can allow for almost risk-free trading, like almost, not exactly risk-free trading, but almost. The problem with it is used in the fight phase, meaning you cannot use any other strats to protect yourself or damage your opponent. So if you've got a stratagem to give yourself +1 strength, well, you're not utilizing that and this in the same phase due to the core rules of 11th edition. So it is a very great strat, but it does require planning because you will not be able to stack other strats with it. And then the last stratagem from this detachment is going to be No Fear. This is done in your command phase. This might be one of the best stratagems in the game. 1 friendly battle-shocked Adeptus Astartes unit. So this affects anyone, not just your jump pack infantry. And you can use this stratagem on them even if they are already battle-shocked. That unit is no longer battle-shocked. This is effective at least an auto-pass battle-shock test after you get to roll to see if you pass it. Incredibly powerful, especially in an edition where you don't automatically on battle-shock in your command phase. This also applies to other things. So let's say you're a Tyranid player, and you utilize the Shadows in the Warp. Well, people can't spend the stratagem to auto-pass that because that happens at the wrong step of the command phase. But now, if you fail that Shadow in the Warp Battle Shock, you can just be like, poof, unbattle shocked. I'm happy. Very powerful, incredibly useful stratagem. And Tyranid players, please do not cry that there's a single stratagem that can counter your Shadows in the Warp. It's okay. Listen, I don't want to hear it. There are counters in this game to everything. It's okay for counters to exist. Awesome stratagem. Great detachment for 1 DP. It pairs well with a multitude of other detachments. I want to hear in the comments down below where you think it pairs. But let's get into the bonkers one. So there's a new detachment that in the context of where we currently is, this is too powerful. I'll just say it at what it is. This is actually too strong with the current Ork codex for 10th edition. Now, with the 11th edition context coming out, this might not be that great. But for right now, for the next few weeks, this is going to be very, very powerful. I really, really, really hope that the Ork or that the rules writers add a keyword to make it so that you cannot combine this with Green Tide. Because if you can, that'll just be utterly abusive. Now, we don't know if there are keyword restrictions on this detachment. There very well may be. It's just not out yet. All right, so the detachment rule for Jungle No Watts. In the Declare Battle Formation step, select up to 3, count them, 3 mob and commandos units. Those units have Scout 6 until the end of the battle. The reason why this is so powerful is because now your Ork boys can just deploy out in the open. You don't have to hide them at all. If you go second, you just scout them into hidden. If you go first, you scout them forward, and you can basically guarantee that you can. It's insane how fast this makes Orks. It basically means that Orks can turn one WA and just table you turn one, which is kind of crazy because Orks were so bad all of 10th edition, and right off the rip in 11th edition, without really changing very much, they've been very, very strong. And now the addition of this detachment is absolutely brutal. I'm going to get in why it's even stronger, and I really hope they... And guys, I am a Ork lover. I am a Ork player. They are my true love. I really hope they have a keyword restriction on here. I'll explain why this gets even dirtier the more in. So let's talk about the enhancements here. We have the Cunning Hunter, and we also have the Unkillable Scourge. So the Cunning Hunter, it applies to a beast boss or an infantry war boss model only once per turn in your opponent's movement phase when an enemy unit ends a move within 8 inches of this unit. If it's unengaged, you can make a normal move of up to D3 plus 3 inches. It's a D3 plus 3 inch reactive move. This is an enhancement we see in other places. This is great. It's very strong. It's something that we see lots of other places we know in the game that reactive moves are good. Nothing special there, but it's good. Then we have the Unkillable Scourge, beast boss or infantry war boss model. When this model is destroyed, if the unit has not been selected to fight this phase, roll 1d6 with a +1 to that roll if the wall is active for this unit. On a 3-up, do not remove this model from the battle. It's a 3-up fight on death, or a 2-up fight on death for this model. So it's fine. I mean, I'm probably never, I don't think I would ever take this, but it's totally fine. Let's get into where the other things happen here. These stratagems are really good. They're not quite as good as the detachment rule, but the stratagems are great. And I'll get the context for the detachment rule for you in just a moment. All right, Concealed Crumpin, your shooting phase or the fight phase when a friendly hidden mob unit is selected to attack. That mob unit gets lethal hits. So this is lethal hits on demand. If you're stacking this with, say, the Freebooters crew, where you can basically get your unit sustained hits on whatever objective you want, now you have both sustained and lethal, whatever you want. You could also stack this with the Freebooters Cruel stratagem, which will allow you to put yourself into the WA in a turn where, you have to declare the WA. So now in the WA, you go sustained, you go lethal. If you are, which is absolutely disgusting. And you can also stack that with the D6, the flat 6 advance move from the Freebooters crew. So you can have a normal unit of boys just guaranteed to go 18 inches in turn 1, have both lethal and sustained hits, and just do some really disgustingly horrible things for your opponent. And then in your next turn, you have Stragglers as a stratagem, which happens in your command phase. One friendly mob commandos unit, your unit just heals 2d3 wounds, which in 11th edition means you regenerate 2d3 boys, which is wild. If this stacks with the Green Tide's ability to also regenerate models, which is like D3 plus 2 models, you could be regenerating just an insane amount of Ork models with Invulnerable Save 5-up and OC2 just all over the place, gaining free movement, just doing horrible, horrible things. Very, very powerful. I really hope you can't take this with the Green Tide. That would be a problem. And then Dare over Air. Start of your shooting phase. One friendly mob or commandos unit, while a visible enemy unit is within 6 inches of your unit, they have +3 detection range. It's cool. You'll probably never use it. The real sauce to this detachment is this detachment rule. 6-inch scout move on 3 units of boys. So what people will automatically be doing, I guarantee they're going to be doing, I will do it because it will be irrationally fun, and there's no way this is going to exist in the codex. You can take 60 boys in, say, a Green Tide, each one with a war boss and a big boss and a pain boy for that 5-up field of pain. They all start on the line. They all scout forward 6 inches, declare the WA. They all advance in charge, with all of them having at least +1 to charge, some of them having pluses to advances based off of different enhancements that you have. And then you could just hit your opponent with 60 boys in the WA with sustain and lethal from, like, say, Makari's Aura. Turn 1. It's a problem. It's a real, real problem. Now, this is also very strong with the Freebooters crew. I don't want to dismiss that. It's potential that you can actually move Gaz's unit 20 inches in turn 1 with this. Also very, very powerful. But you can't do it with, like, 3 units. And you won't have 5 invulns outside of the WA and stuff. So, it's pretty good, man. It doesn't... We do already know, just to give people a little bit of a light. the freebooters crew will not exist in the codex, as they've already showed us all of what the names of the detachments are on the big summer preview. So we know freebooters crew doesn't exist in the codex. I don't remember if Green Tide does, but I don't think it does. So in the codex context, this detachment is probably really, really good. It's just a little too much for right now. But I suspect we're probably going to be seeing the codex's announcement or pre-order go up pretty dang soon. So you might literally only have to deal with this combination for a week or two. But we'll see. So what are your thoughts down below? Do you like the Space Marines detachment? Personally, I love the Space Marines detachment. It's strong and it's good and it's not overwhelming. I love this, but it's a little overwhelming when you combine it with Orks' other options right now. So I hope they have some keyword, locks on this for right now. But until next time, guys, I'm out. And I hope you have a fantastic freaking day. I want to know your thoughts down below. Is this too much in your opinion? Crump on. Bye-bye.